We are using a recursive formula for the arithmetic sequence here. Okay, well, let's sort of break down some of the vocabulary and terminology we have, also some of the symbols that they're being used and the way it's ordered. So we're asked to complete what? A recursive formula of an arithmetic sequence. Okay, well, recursive means that it repeats on itself. So you have to have one of the entries, and then once you have one of the entries, the formula will generate the rest of the entries. And arithmetic means that it's growing by addition or subtraction. Sequence means that it's having these commas and they're separate entries. So all of those put together, let's go ahead and attack what they gave us here. Okay, let's see. Now, they're saying C1, C sub 1, and right here it says C sub n equals C of n minus 1 plus, and then there's an entry, and then here's the entry here. So what that means is, notice that instead of n, we have the number 1. So for this one right here, n is equal to 1. Now what that means is it's the position, P-O-S-I-T-I-O-N. It's the position of our numbers. So in this case, we always start with 1. So that's real important. Sometimes we kind of forget. Order matters here, and how they present it matters. So we assume that whatever is given first, that's going to be our first entry. Sometimes they'll put it as a subscript. So that would be our first entry. This is our second entry, okay? So N1, N2, N3, N4, so, or N equals 1. It all kind of depends on the format here. So in this case, the first thing that they're really asking you here is, what is the first entry? All right, so the first entry is negative 15. Okay, now what this is saying is the previous entry, N minus 1, the previous entry plus some number usually. This is just a number because it is arithmetic. So remember, we either add or subtract a number. So we have our previous. What's our previous? R-E-V-I-O-U-S. That's our previous entry plus some number gives us our next entry. So it kind of helps to get a handle on this by actually plugging in what a number here. So if n is 1, we get negative 15. So what comes next? N equals 2. So this is the n equals 2. This entry right here, n equals 2, is negative 11. So if we do it right, the output should be negative 11. So the trick here is when you do these, you want to find out, it really helps that they've said it's arithmetic, is how is it being added or subtracted from one entry to the next. So from one entry to the next, what got added or subtracted, what got added or subtracted, what got added or subtracted. All right, so negative 15 plus what is negative 11? That would be a plus 4. Negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. Negative 11 plus 4 is negative 7. And negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. Now, they've already kind of done all the hard work for you by setting up the form here. So what that means is we're just putting in the number 4 here. That's what's being added to each one. So like Ed said, if we have the next entry would be 2. So C sub 2. Now, context matters here, so just kind of be careful. This is function notation. So C sub 2 is equal to, remember, that's our n. N is equal to 2. So that would be C sub n is 2 minus 1. Now, remember, I'm just using this formula right here, n minus 1. And then I'm saying we're adding 4 to give us the next entry. So if we do everything right, it should be negative 11. So let's check and replace things. And that's how this works, is once you have one, it recursively uses, it's kind of cycles through and reuses a previous entry to give you the next one. All right, so C sub 2 equals, well, what's 2 minus 1? That's C sub 1 plus 4. What's C sub 1 again? Well, we just said C sub 1 is negative 15. That's how this works, negative 15. And then we're adding the 4 still. Does that equal negative 11? And it sure does. So that's how this kind of works. And I really wanted to go through this with you because all the symbols and the terminology and the way this is built can be kind of confusing because it's a new way of kind of looking at how a sequence can be generated. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug these in. I got negative 15 for that entry and 4 for that entry. Got it. Okay, let's just see if there's anything different on the next entry. Extending arithmetic sequence. Oh, okay. Well, this one's a little bit different. So let me just kind of look at what we did here. Okay, so we have kind of a built up preparation for what we're doing here for lesson 29. We're using the recursive formulas for arithmetic sequence. There's a video here to kind of help us with it. And here's the problem set that we're used here. Now, this problem set is from Algebra 1. So for you as my students, you may not be able to see it on the lesson or on the Khan Academy. So you may have to get to it from the lesson. All right. And remember, we have a test for this unit. Let's go ahead and look at one more. That's what I had originally said, just to make sure there's nothing strange happening. Excuse me. All right, let's see. And everything is built in exactly the same way. So they're just getting you used to arithmetic sequence, recursive formulas here.